In the wake of the catastrophic Battle of Changping, where Qin's general Bai Qi annihilated 400,000 Hao troops, Qin forces pushed deep into Hao territory, advancing toward its capital, Handan. Facing near annihilation, Zhao mustered its final defenses. Yet in this moment of despair, a string of dramatic events unfolded across the 7 major warring states. Acts of diplomacy, defiance, and daring that would turn the tide and rescue Hao from destruction. With Qin poised to strike the capital, Zhao dispatched Su Dai, younger brother of Vertical Alliance strategist Su Qin, to negotiate with Qin's chancellor Fanju. Carrying generous gifts, Su Dai appealed to Fanju's self-interest.
If Bai Qi conquers Zhao, the king will reward him above you. Can you afford that? Even if you accept it, will he tolerate you?
He also reminded Fanju that Qin's troops were exhausted after Changping, and peace, along with territorial concessions, was the wiser option. Fanju was persuaded. He convinced the king of Qin to halt the offensive and accept 6 cities from Zhao. Though nominally a retreat, it gave Zhao a miraculous reprieve. Bai Qi, ordered to withdraw, was furious. Thus began a bitter feud between Bai Qi and Fanju, one that would shake Qin's internal stability. Qin's demands for the 6 cities resumed, but Hao's strategist Yu Qing saw through the bluff.
This peace is not mercy, it's weakness. If we give up cities now, we will be helpless when Qin strikes again.
Instead, Yu Qing proposed offering those cities to Qi to cement an alliance. The Hao king agreed. Qi's interest rose, and Qin, sensing the potential alliance, backed down. Their representative arrived empty-handed. Zhao had outmaneuvered Qin again. To reinforce alliances, Lord Pingyuan organized an embassy to Chu. It was nearly complete, 19 delegates ready to go. Only 1 seat remained. A minor retainer named Mao Sui stepped forward.
Let me be the 20th.
Lord Pingyuan looked him over and scoffed.
You've been in my house for 3 years. Neither have I heard your name, nor has anyone praised your talent. How can I trust you with a mission of national survival?
Mao Sui replied with quiet fire.
A sword may rest in its scabbard, but its sharpness remains. I have waited 3 years, not for recognition, but for opportunity. Let me show what I can do.
Reluctantly, Lord Pingyuan allowed it. The group departed for Chu. Once in the Chu capital, negotiations began, but they stalled. From dawn until noon, the king of Chu circled the topic, refusing to commit to a military alliance. Suddenly, Mao Sui stepped forward, uninvited, unafraid, hand on his sword. He addressed the throne directly.
Your Majesty, forgive my bluntness, but the matter of alliance is not one that needs an entire day of hollow words. If a thing is just, it should be acted upon swiftly. Why do we sit here dithering, as if the fate of the realm is a matter of idle conversation?
The king of Chu, affronted, shouted.
Who are you to interrupt? I speak with your lord, not with nameless attendants. Guards, remove him.
But Mao Sui didn't flinch. He stepped forward, closing the gap between himself and the king.
Your Majesty only dares shout at me because you rely on your 1,000,000-man army. But know this, between us now are 10 steps, and in those 10 steps, your soldiers count for nothing. You say, I am a nobody, then hear me speak like a king.
He raised his voice, commanding the hall.
The great Shang founder Tang ruled only 70 li at the start. And yet, he overturned the tyrant Ji. When of Zhou held barely 100 li, and yet he overthrew the brutal King Zhou of Shang. Neither waited for armies. They acted when the heavens gave them a moment. Now look at you, Your Majesty. You command a vast realm of 5,000 li. Your army is mighty. But in these past 10 years, Qin's Bai Qi has invaded your lands, desecrated your ancestral tombs, and burned your sacred temples. And what did Shu do? Nothing. That is not peace. It is humiliation. Today, Zhao does not beg you. Zhao reminds you. This alliance is not charity to us. It is salvation for you. For if Qin finishes us, they will come next for Chu. Strike now, or kneel later. You have power, Your Majesty. The only question is whether you have courage.
Silence fell across the court. The king of Chu, shaken by this fearless speech, stood and bowed slightly.
I have never been addressed so, and yet, never have I seen greater loyalty, nor clearer truth.
He immediately agreed to send troops to aid Zhao, to formalize the commitment. Mao Sui proposed a blood oath between Lord Pingyuan and the king of Chu, binding the alliance in ritual, honor, and fate. When the king of Qin failed to obtain the 6 cities from Hao and saw a new vertical alliance forming against his state, he was enraged. Determined to crush Hao once and for all, he summoned General Bai Qi and ordered him to launch a second assault on Handan, Hao's capital. But Bai Qi, assessing the situation, declined, wary of overextending his weary forces and uncertain of a decisive victory. Furious at the refusal, the king turned to General Wang He, appointing him to lead the siege of Handan, this time with the full intent of annexing Hao and erasing it from the map. As the siege of Handan dragged on, Zhao's situation grew increasingly desperate. Inside the besieged capital, supplies dwindled. Soldiers fought with bleeding hands, and civilians buried their dead with trembling hearts. Yet while Hao begged for help, its supposed allies, especially the state of Wei, hesitated, watching from the sidelines. In Wei, Lord Xinling, also known as Lord Wuji, younger brother to the king of Wei and brother-in-law to Hao's Lord Pingyuan, could no longer bear the inaction. Day after day, pleas from Hao reached him, begging for Wei's promised reinforcements to intervene. He urged his brother, the king of Wei, to send troops immediately, but the king hesitated, unwilling to risk provoking Qin directly. The frontline commander, General Jin Bai, sat idle with Wei's army, bound by strict orders. Xinling was torn between rage and despair, but unlike the court nobles around him, he refused to watch Hao fall. He prepared to ride into battle himself, without an army, without orders, ready to die fighting for Zhao. But just before he departed, one of his advisors, Hu Ying, stepped forward and offered a daring, unlawful solution.
My lord, your courage is admirable, but if you ride alone, you will die alone. That will not save Xiao. The general at the front, Jin Bai, holds one half of the tiger tally, the symbol of military authority. He will only move on the king's command. But the king keeps the other half. If you possessed both, you could command the army yourself. Steal the tally. Take command. Save Xiao.
Xinling's eyes burned with sudden purpose.
How do I steal the tally from the king himself?
Remember Lady Wuji, the favored concubine? Years ago, you avenged her father's murder. She once swore that she would repay you with her life. Use that favor now.
Lord Xinling secretly visited Lady Ruji. Moved by past loyalty, she agreed. One night, while the king slept, she retrieved the tiger tally from its locked box and slipped it into Xinling's hands. Now armed with full authority, Lord Xinling prepared to leave, but Hu Ying offered one final warning.
Jin Bai may still defy your command, even with the tally in hand. Bring my friend Xu Hai, a man of extraordinary strength. If Jin Bai resists, Xu Hai will do what must be done.
Xinling, Hu Ying, and Hu Hai rode swiftly to the front. At Jin Bai's camp, Xinling presented the tally and ordered an immediate assault on the Qin siege lines. Jin Bai hesitated. He narrowed his eyes, suspicious of the sudden order, and refused to act. Before the standoff escalated, Xu Hai struck like lightning, cutting down Jin Bai where he stood. With Wei's general dead and the full tiger tally in hand, Xinling assumed command. He knew that courage alone wasn't enough, he needed loyalty. He issued a stunning proclamation.
If a father and son both serve, the father shall return. If brothers both serve, the elder shall return. If a man has no siblings, he shall return home to care for his parents.
Moved by his humanity and leadership, the army rallied around him, far more than they ever had around Jinbai. Xinling hand-picked 80,000 elite troops, launched a surprise assault on the Qin camp, and shattered their exhausted front lines. Caught off guard after a year-long siege, Qin forces crumbled. Emboldened by Xinling's bold strike, Qi and Chu troops joined in. What had once seemed like Hao's funeral became its resurrection. The siege of Handan was finally broken, and the alliance's greatest victory was sealed by one man's courage, cunning, and rebellion. Qin suffered its most humiliating defeat since the Shengyang reforms. Enraged, the Qin king blamed Bai Qi for refusing to lead the siege and forced him to commit suicide. The once invincible general died a scapegoat, haunted by the weight of Changping's massacre and the politics he couldn't escape. Zhao's triumph at Handan proved a crucial truth: Qin was not invincible. When the eastern states united in action, not just in words, even the mighty Qin could be repelled. The defense of Handan stands as the last great moment of unity among the 6 eastern states. Though temporary, it revealed what could have been a coalition capable of resisting tyranny. Zhao had stared death in the face and survived, not just through arms, but through wisdom, courage, and unity. The story of Handan isn't just one of military defense, it is a saga of diplomacy, defiance, and daring leadership.